Mm-hmm.
I was clothed in my right mind. I looked around and my family was fine. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad. I will rejoice and be glad. Rejoice, cause it's Alpha and Omega. Rejoice, He's beginning and end. Rejoice, cause He's my Savior. Rejoice, 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 cause it's Alpha and Omega. Rejoice, He's beginning and end. Rejoice, cause He's my Savior. Rejoice, rejoice. You are my life, the air that I breathe, the song that I sing, my Lord, my everything. I have so much to be grateful for. That's why I will rejoice. Rejoice, cause it's Alpha and Omega. Rejoice, He's beginning and end. Rejoice, I gotta live my Savior. Rejoice, I gotta do my thing. Rejoice, cause it's Alpha and Omega. Rejoice, He's beginning and end. Rejoice, cause He's my Savior. Rejoice, rejoice. I won't let you steal my peace.
Good afternoon, and God bless you. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. Don't you touch that dial. I know I don't look like Bishop Albert Thompson. Thank you, Jesus. I look like Pastor Sadie Thompson, and I am here taking care of business for my spouse. And I couldn't be any more happy about it. As I always say, I'm happy, glad, and I'm very excited to be with you this afternoon. I need you to call Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. Because listen. Because see, y'all my family. And I need to tell you something. I got an author here. This man has had me going. But that's another story. This man has written a book. I need you to call everybody because I need the brothers to pay attention. Sister, go get your husband. Go get your friend. Go get that mail because you don't want to miss this show. Without any further ado, because this is going to be so outstanding, I need him to introduce his own book. I have with me none other than the distinguished author, Mr. Thaddeus Shaw. Yay! That'll have to suffice until I get my yay button, okay? I'm working on that as we speak. Right. Okay, Mr. Thaddeus, I got to get to this thing here. I got to get in here with both feet because, see, you kind of threw me for a loop. What is the name of this book? What is the title? Excuse me, let me get professional here. What is the title of this distinguished book that you have written? What is it?
Okay.
Okay.
First of all, let me thank you for having me on this show. A little brief chat beforehand. You all fired up.
Shh, you ain't supposed to tell everybody.
Is a well-made man.
Hold up. Let me introduce to you the author who published a well-made man. Sounds mighty fine, as my grandmother would say. Do tell me more. I had to get you back. Now I'm gonna be quiet. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about. I'm sorry, I'm a little country. I didn't know if you knew, but now you know. The cat's out the bag. But tell me a little bit about yourself, Mr. Shaw. Tell me a little bit about yourself before we get into the book, because you seem like you. Let me see. What's the correct? You are well aware of your environment and the situation. So I'm excited for you to come up with a title like this. This lets me know that you are a man of the times. So I need you to enlighten
Okay.
us a little bit. Pretty please.
All right. Well, a little bit about myself.
Uh-huh.
I actually grew up in between Chicago and Alabama, and my parents were sending me out of Chicago to keep a brother out of trouble.
That sounds
So
about
I
right.
bounced back and forth.
To Alabama to keep you make sure you don't get into trouble. Yeah, that sounds good.
And I went on from there after going a couple of years of college. I went on from there to the United States Army. 8
Whoa.
years, 6 months, 23 days on a wake up.
Okay.
And I transitioned from that army into the FOI, which is the military arm of the Nation of Islam. So I had
Okay.
approximately 20 something odd years of training. And I think my real training started in the U.S. Army, where I think I became a man. And I went on from there on into the Nation, where I, over time, became a lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
Then I became the first officer, where I was in charge of the teaching and training of the men.
Okay. That's
And
very
so
interesting.
I just got an affinity for teaching, training men, and I've been studying that for decades.
Okay, well, you definitely have the qualifications. If you were in the U.S. Army, they want to break you down and mold you into the machine that they that they need to take care of. And so you took those same regiments, I would say, that same type of temperament, and transformed it and made it your own, and went over into the onto the Muslims. So this is really interesting here. This is very, very interesting. I know we have questions, but forgive me. You just roll with me. You're an intelligent man. What possessed you to write this book? Let's just get with it.
Well, I tell you what really possessed me, just looking at the condition of black men overall. I mean, I don't care where you are, in California, in New York, in Louisiana, in Chicago. When you sum it up, there's a huge population of black men who are in trouble.
Okay.
And they say that over 70% of our young men are caught up in the criminal justice system. And through our music and the culturation of our men basically enculturating us to be criminals.
True.
And we're in and out of the
is.
criminal justice system, the music, the dance, the videos, all of that has made us just pray for the criminal justice system, while other men in suits are making tons of money investing in our demise. So when I look at that,
Yeah.
it just saddens me.
Okay. I agree with
Kind
that.
of open the door a little bit and
Yeah.
give a little bit of my training in both the U.S. Army and in the Nation of Islam,
Okay.
and other people I've studied
Okay. Hold that thought.
with.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I want to put two more things to that. And you may disagree with me, but this is just my opinion, okay? Not only our black men, but poor people, poverty. Y'all don't stop. Poverty, I think, has a lot to do with it also. Because of the system,
absolutely.
because it's systematic in the school system. You mentioned something. I was looking today, and they had in Louisiana. I almost cried. Called the Block by Block, California. Block, not black, but Block, Black California. Forgive me, Block, Louisiana, The school system was so deteriorated. They were almost reading looked like what they showed the books. It was almost like, did you see Bob run up the hill? I mean, it was so primitive, so benign. It was horrible, and the books were stained and rain, and the building, the infrastructure was falling, crumbling on top of the students, and the mold and stuff. But 13 miles down the road in that same school district, beautiful, beautiful deficits of the high school. Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. And that was the distinction that they could justify it, because that area of that school, they did not vote on the taxation to the extra percent of penny, whatever, but the money was already there allocated for it. But of course, they didn't get it. I'm just saying. So it is systematic that you maintain, because poverty is big business for others. Big business.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't disagree with you. I believe that it is economics, and economic barriers go across the board.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say, and I'm going to let you talk. I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there.
But, I look at it from this point of view. I heard a congressman say, Danny Davis, say that if a man does not have any concern for his own, he's not worth dealing with. And since I am black, I'm speaking from my perspective.
I understand.
And then, too, I don't want to discount anyone's poverty. If we
Thank
had
you.
enough sense to join together,
Now you're cooking good
a whole
looking.
lot of things done.
Accomplished.
However, yes. However, when I look at the total statistics, when I look at statistics that point out the negative statistics, if you will, for humanity across the board, all the way from Africa to Canada to wherever we exist,
I understand.
we're being measured, blacks are on the bottom of every civilized society, including Africa. So I've got to speak from that perspective, because when I look at it worldwide, we tend to be a problem.
Well, yeah, you're a problem.
I mean, the problem.
Okay.
H-E, because when you look at the fact that 70% of our children over the last 20% are born out of wedlock. Now, and then most of those children, if they're not going with their grandmothers, which would be a good thing, but if they're not going with their grandmothers, they tend to be left with their mothers, male and female. On the female side, it could be good, but if you are a 14, 15, 16-year-old mother, what can you be giving your son? What wisdom could you be given? There are exceptions to every rule. Don't get me wrong.
I understand.
But the overwhelming situation finds our young brothers being raised at the knee of a mother who's 14, 15, 16, and up. And so when I look at that, how much wisdom could be imparted?
I understand.
How much guidance when that child who just gave birth is trying to grow up herself?
True.
She may think she's grown. She may think she knows everything, but she doesn't. And so we're letting our young men and women grow up out here like we. Now, why is this book directed more at men? I directed it at men because in every other civilized society, the man is the backbone of that society. And when you look at our men and look at our community, the women tend to be the backbone of that society.
Well, wait a minute. Don't make it.
Women,
Wait. Pump your brakes. Don't make that our fault. Don't make that our fault. I didn't take your manhood away from me. That was done. That was done. That mindset happened when they brought us here over in slave ships. Okay?
Absolutely.
We did not. I did not contribute to that. Okay?
absolutely.
Okay. Now I want to make that clear because we get a bum rap as a black woman. We get a bum. Oh, you're the angry black woman. Oh, you get a rap. Oh, you can't talk to him. No. I'm not having it. Not having it. Go ahead now. Go
You're
ahead.
talking to the right guy because I'm not a finger pointer.
Okay. I just wanted to make
I'm
sure.
not saying that black women are excelling black men because it's black women's fault that we are falling down. I'm not saying that at all.
Okay. Just checking.
I'm just saying that the war was that, and it was a war. When you taking people and capturing people and beating people down and being reduced to the level of an animal.
Yeah.
And name change, your language taken from you,
True.
put in the hubs of ships.
Yes.
Then decades without education.
Okay.
Decades. What I'm saying is it was always kind of easier for the sisters to slip by.
It was posed as less of a threat. Yeah, it was more of a less of a threat in order that they could feel like they could handle you.
Absolutely. A sister found reading back in the day, I mean, they may say, hey, what are you doing? Put that book down. You really know how to read?
No,
Black
sir.
man found reading back in the day. It's
I'm
like,
just
what
looking
are
at the
you doing?
pictures. I'm just looking at the pictures. I don't know how to read.
Putting the black woman and saying what I'm saying. I'm saying
Okay.
that
Okay.
black women happen to be the backbone
Thank
of our
you.
community.
Thank you.
And black men are lagging far behind. And black men are the ones that I see walking up and down the street singing rap songs to themselves, talking about I'm getting my gat doing this and all this kind of madness, feeding their mind with madness.
True.
While our women, for the most part, are going to college.
Mm-hmm.
Black women are excelling in college and going into business
Mm-hmm.
and being employed, and which has created a crazy imbalance. And again, I have to repeat, there are exceptions. But when I look at the problem in the black community, I've got to point the finger at black men. And it's not black men's fault. It's not black men's fault. And the reason I really wrote this book is because typically you don't have black fathers who sit down and look eye to eye with their sons and tell them, hey, here's what you need to focus on in order to build a great life.
Come on.
Here's what you need to focus on in order to create a great family, a great outcome for yourself, a great business, or whatever the situation may be. If our fathers have a conversation, it's typically about the conversation. How to stay alive if you get stopped by the police, or something to that degree. But typically, our fathers and our grandfathers don't have a clue about the things that I'm putting in this book. They don't have a clue.
Okay.
And again, there are exceptions.
Of course. Praise the Lord. Okay. Listen. How can people, where can they get this book, or how can they get in contact with you? If someone wanted to have you as a speaker, or if someone wanted to do a book signing, wanted to promote this, because this resonates on so many different levels that like-minded individuals would want to get this word out, how would they go about that before we go too far? Because believe it or not, we're almost halfway through the show. I can't believe it. I'm like, oh wow, exactly. And we haven't really. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg, and I want that to be known where they can get this information before because I got a whole bunch to say. It ain't my show; it's about you. But no, how can they? I need to get that established right now. Where can they find the book?
Okay, they can find the book on Amazon.com.
Okay.
A Well-Made Man, PGM shop.
Okay.
Or they can contact me directly. My email is thadbiz, THAD, B as in boy, I as in Ithaca, Z as in zebra, at gmail.com. You can also request the book through that email, or you can simply cash app me, and that would be $, Thad, THAD, biz.
Okay.
Just put in there, where you want me to send the book.
Okay.
And send $15.
Sir, excuse me. We don't discuss what your price is. Please don't do that. Don't not do that. Okay. I just asked where they can find you. I didn't ask you what the book costs. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, I apologize.
That's okay. I know you just giving out information, but don't do that. You're making me look bad.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That was an error. It wasn't. I know you didn't do it on purpose, so I want to make that clear. Because, see, you are a nice young man that follows instructions because you have structure and order. So I know without a surety of a doubt that was not a planned thing. I already know that, okay?
No, that just slipped out.
Okay. As your president would say, I misspoke.
I misspoke. And once I send you your copy of the book,
yes, because I'm looking.
Time, we can also do this again.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I can see it's I want to do a follow up with you later on in the year and see how things are going, because this is something that needs to be discussed. And I'm not bashing any man, black, yellow, red, green, or blue. I love men. And they are necessary. God made man. It was necessary. He thought it was very necessary. He wanted a family. So I'm excited about the man and the perspective that you're taking, because anyone who's raised a young black man, you want all the support that you can get that child. You want to get them into something creative. You want to keep their mind active. You want to keep their body and soul. You want to be able to teach the child balance, even as a girl. If she's in sports, if she's in dance. You want to keep the child active. Keep that mind going. I'm a big supporter of keeping the child trying to have a balanced life. I don't want them so wrapped up in their studies that they're so tight that they can't have fun and laugh and joke sometimes, but not making that the mainstay. I want my children to be critical thinkers. That's my desire.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, there's a saying in our community that goes something like this, that, and I hope I get it right.
Get it right, brother. Get it right. I just said you was a nice man.
Our sons and teach our daughters, something to that extent. And we need to raise and teach both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this book is teaching. I'm just asking principles. Is it explaining the systems of the world, the systems, how things are ran and how they may miss the boat? We touched very lightly, but it's kind of, I'll say it's well said about the justice system. Okay, so they first get introduced. If they get into any trouble, it starts at school. That's a system. That's a whole nother system and a whole nother show. Then from that, they move them directly into the juvenile system so that they can get into the slave mentality of prison, get into doing nothing for hours at any time. If you can stay in a cubicle for 8 hours and do nothing, then we're training you where you can stay a whole day.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
So it's a system.
Very well.
It's a system, but people don't get it.
It is a system, and it's a system that people have figured out how to make money on with all the private prisons and that kind of thing. So the overall system, there's an overall system designed to take young men and criminalize them, and it's very easy to get criminalized if your music is telling you to be a criminal. Your videos and TV is showing you as a criminal, and then you take it on because it makes criminal life look good. But when you're caught up in that system and you're sitting in that cell, like you just said, and the only thing you've got to think, it's just like being in the housing projects, and not to knock anybody that's in there, but they finally figured out here recently that if you put people into a 15-story building, and the only thing those people have in common is that they all poor, it's the same thing when you put all these young men into a prison where the only thing they really got in common is crime. And so what they do when they get together, they talk about crime. They talk about ways to do the crime that got them in there in the first place better. So
of course.
Come out, and you got recidivism going in and out, in and out, in and out, putting more and more money in the investor's pocket that invest in those type of systems. So my book is really a book about taking control of your own mind.
Okay, give me some principles right there. Hold that thought. Give me a principle. Let's go.
Well, the one main principle is that you've got to have a blueprint.
Okay.
You got to have a blueprint for your life.
Okay.
You can't just grow up and just do whatever comes to you, whatever pop in your mind, whatever video, movie, whatever. You got to have somebody that look you in the eye and say, hey, listen, you are becoming a man now. You got to look at yourself spiritually. You got to look at yourself financially. You got to look at yourself in terms of the type of family you want. You got to look at yourself in the type of community you want to build. You got to look at your health, how you want to develop your health. You got to look at yourself in terms of what in the world do you really consider happiness and how you can build that. And then you want to look at personal growth. You got to look at, and we don't tend to look at personal growth as something you're supposed to be about. And this is a statistic across the board. Most people, when they graduate from high school or college, don't read another book. Don't read another book. And so they're definitely not reading the Bible. They're definitely not reading other books that can help them grow, like Think and Grow Rich and that kind of thing. So you got to look at that and design that. Then you got to look at your relationship. You got to look at the type of lifestyle. And so I do a 360 circle of every one of these areas of life. And then I give a picture of how you can develop yourself in every area of your life. And then I talk about another principle, habits. Habits don't just happen unless they're negative. So you ain't got to worry about weeds growing. They just grow automatically.
Hush, don't talk about it. Don't talk about the weeds, Jesus. They'll be popping up.
Good seeds, weeds just gonna come out of nowhere. So you got to cultivate a life. And what I'm doing here is I'm sitting down and I'm looking a son, an uncle, a father, a grandfather. I'm looking them in the eye, and I'm telling them, hey, you got to build your life just like you build a building. And in other cultures, they teach this kind of thing. You got to build your life in 3 phases. Build it 3 times. You got to build it first in your mind. This is what they teach in the Masons and all this kind of stuff. Then you got to build it on paper. And then you got to go out and build it in reality. How many of our sons get that kind of talk? How many? Very few. Very few. And if we want to change the dynamic that we're and the interaction we're having with the criminal justice system, you can't change that by necessarily changing them. They may change, but we don't have that much control over them. But what we do have control over is ourselves.
Exactly.
We got to take responsibility of our own lives.
True.
And one brother at a time, one man at a time, one sister at a time. We got to take ourselves and transform our culture. And we transform the culture first by transforming ourselves.
Okay,
You know?
I got you. So I am a big believer of a vision. Thoughts are things and things are thoughts. I'm a big believer of speaking what you want and not what you don't want, because that's according to the word. You shall have what you say. You believe, that's what you believe, you're going to have it. So I'm a big believer of that. And I do understand where you're coming from. So the first thing that I'm hearing is that you need to have a vision. This is what I'm hearing that you're telling me. And then not only do you, I love this part that you said. You said, okay, you've got to have this vision. I'm paraphrasing now. I'm a good paraphraser. That's what I do. The queen of paraphrase is that this thing has got to be in your mind. Because if you can't visualize it, you can't receive it. You cannot obtain it because you don't believe it. You don't believe it because you can't see it. But if you can see this, you call it a blueprint, and I call it a vision. It's just semantics of words. If you really begin to, amen, I receive that. I'll roll with you. I'll roll with that. It's your book, so I'm not trying to take nothing away from you. That's why I put it like that. So if they can see this thing, and now you are ready to process it by putting it on paper, because it's not real. It was just a good idea until it was put on paper. That's when it's formulated. Write the vision down. Make it plain. So when you read it, you will run and do it. That's the word.
That's the word.
That's the word. In the beginning was the word. The word.
In the beginning was the word.
It wasn't nothing. Don't tell me it was something else besides the word. It was the word. So this word that you get in this revelational knowledge, this vision that you see, you got to put it on the pen and the paper and make it real.
Absolutely.
And the last part, this is the part I think is the hardest part for a majority of the people, is the follow through. Because it was good when I thought about it, I dreamed about it. I even wrote it down. I even made 5 points to my action steps. I outlined it, I paraphrased it, all of that. But now you actually want me to do it? That's where the rubber meets the road. That's the whole. I think that's a lot of people's. They were with me until we got to the action part.
Well, I tell you, if you ever noticed around the community, if you remember the time when videos were beginning to get popular,
okay,
and you see one person put up a video store.
And
then you see brothers, they walk around and they look at that video store and they say, man, I can do that. I don't care what it is. Once we see one of us do it,
That's
We
it.
would go and put a video store right next door to it, and
Yeah.
then a third video store across the street. It's because the vision is made to seem easy because somebody who looks like us, who walks like us, who comes home and eats like us, and all the rest of it, they've done it.
Come
That
on.
proves I can do it.
I like that.
So, but we've got to expand our point of view.
Mm-hmm.
We got to expand our mind to create your own vision.
Come on,
I mean, that's the
somebody.
reason we have so many rappers, because we're seeing ourselves rapping in Kanye West, in all the
Excuse
other
me,
people out
excuse
there.
me.
We're
You
seeing
didn't
that
have to
they're
say
doing it.
that. You did not have to. You did not. You did not. You
Oh,
just
forgive me
offended
for
me.
that.
Yeah, you offended you offended me. I'm offended.
Okay, please
Okay,
forgive me.
please.
Please
Yeah,
forgive me.
we
But
could have
the
went
point
all day.
is that once we do it, once we see somebody who looks like us do it, then here comes the flood of us doing it. It's almost like the 4-minute mile. Nobody could do it. They just said it was impossible. The heart would just implode. And then one man did it, Roger Bannister.
Come
Over the
on.
course of 1 year, 200 and some people did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then now a 4-minute mile is nothing. High schoolers do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the power of a vision.
Yeah.
Nobody believed it until they saw somebody who looked like them do it. And then the next thing you know, it's second nature.
Well, look at the franchises. Look at the franchises. Perfect example. McDonald's, Burger King, and don't forget Popeyes, y'all. Don't forget the chicken
Oh, Lord.
and the Colonel. But those are just different franchise. Yeah. Well, hey, I'm just
But they're
talking.
using that principle.
Exactly. It's the same principle.
Show
You don't.
success,
Exactly.
and then, hey, others will follow.
Exactly.
They'll believe that they can do it.
Exactly.
It's just unfortunate that we've got too many rappers, too many athletes, too many people fighting to get in the NFL, too many people fighting to get into the NBA, and we only got X amount of teams in the NBA, and every young black man feel like they're going to get some of that NBA money, and typically there are only 20 spots throughout the whole league every year to fit all these students who are going to school just to be a basketball player in the NBA. So that means that 90-something%, almost 98% of the young brothers who are saying, I'm going to the NBA, won't make it. Won't get in there. And
Okay.
I'm not saying that if you got that talent,
Mm-hmm.
that you shouldn't develop that talent and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there are other areas of your life, because typically when you get into the NBA or the NFL, you only have a career of maybe 5 years. And then you got the rest of your life to figure out who you are and what you're going to do.
Okay, quick question. So far, we have geared this book to a younger, we alluded to being a young person as a child, or maybe an adult, maybe a teenager. But let's talk about the person who is just waking up. I mean, literally waking up to realize I'm 50 years old or I'm 60 years old and I really haven't accomplished. I feel unaccomplished. I haven't done anything. All I did was work, go home, eat, sleep, and do it all over again. Just exist. Can you revitalize that person? Is it possible at age 50, 60, 70, 80, or 30, 40 to revitalize yourself and motivate them to want to have this vision?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I use a quick story.
Okay, well, you got a couple of minutes. It ain't got to be that quick.
Okay, but I'll start off with this quick story.
Okay.
Colonel Sanders,
Okay, yeah. You're right. You're
Colonel
right.
Sanders was getting a Social Security check when he finally broke through and transformed himself by creating Kentucky Fried Chicken. He spent 6 decades on this earth feeling unfulfilled, and he finally hit it. I mean, this book spreads all across every parameter of men. It's for the young man, it's for the medium-aged man, it's for the elderly man, because you're not done until you're in the grave and they're throwing dirt in your face.
Talk about. Talk about.
I don't care if you are 70 years old and you finally say, you know what, I've spent my whole life absolutely doing nothing. Chasing women, going from one woman to the next, doing this, that, and the other, doing nothing productive. I'm ready to change my life.
Okay.
You can do it. But it's just with that, just what I told you a little earlier. Sit down and visualize what you want the rest of your life to be. And then put it on paper. Don't just make it a pipe dream. Put it on paper. And then get busy building, doing everything possible, letting nothing get in your way, not tiredness, not lack of sleep, nothing. All your distractions that used to be in your way, you got to get rid of. But I don't care what age you are, it's never too late to get busy and build something, build a productive life.
Amen.
Never too late.
You preaching to the choir. I'm in agreement with that, my brother. Now listen, since this book is titled for what every man should know. Yeah, I'm going there. You already know. What about the better half? Should she buy this book? Can she read this book? Is this beneficial to her also? To the woman?
Oh, absolutely. Now, let's look at it scripturally.
All righty then.
The woman was created out of the woman. I mean, out of the man. I didn't want to really go here, but
Come on, Mr. Shea. Come on, man.
her role as defined in Scripture was really to be a helpmeet or a helpmate.
Exactly.
So now, as I said earlier, our women are better educated. Our women are going through college like crazy. Our women are getting the better jobs. But that's not a cue to our women to look down on a man and shake her head in pity.
Of course not.
That's the thing. She should look and she should read a book like this to understand what is his downfall. Where is he? Where does he want to go? And then how she can meet him to help him achieve his goals. Now, a lot of what's in this book, she's already studied. She's got enough sense to study in school. She's got enough sense to read other books. She's got enough sense to read essays and other things on how she can improve herself and go forward and all that. That can't read like that. But if she looks at him and figure out, okay, my goal is to be a helpmeet, let me really start helping him. Not looking down on him, not feeling ashamed that I'm a senior accountant and he's the garbage man. Let me bring what I have to the table and let us build something.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying that women should ever have to step back. I've got brothers who feel like, well, our women are just out of control. Our women are just stepping out there. And I don't agree.
And you know what I say?
I don't.
Go ahead, girl. Go get it. Now, saying
I
that,
say
yeah.
we shouldn't have to step down.
Thank you.
We should raise our level up to the position where we should be, because we are not where we should be, which is why I wrote this book.
Amen. And there should not be any competition if we're working together. That's a whole nother ball game. Because in the
Absolutely.
team, there's no I in the word team.
Absolutely.
And for both the man and the woman, everybody got to be not only approachable, but teachable.
Hmm.
I'm just
I
saying.
agree with that.
I'm just saying.
But this world teaches competition. This world teaches, to a degree, this kind of division, and this world kind of pushes the idea that one is better than the other. And I would say absolutely not.
Absolutely not. But the reality is what you have to deal with that makes up your home. That may be the world system. It's sort of like as children. I can hear my mother say this clearly. I don't care what little Johnny's mother allowed her to go or them to go. You're not going to the party, and you will be home before midnight. Not 12:01, not 12:02. You will be home before midnight. Now, if that's going to be a problem, you better not go. If that's a problem for you, if I were you, Sadie, I wouldn't go. Again, the critical thinking. Either, in other words, this is the rules. Either you're going to go by the rules or stay here.
And it didn't hurt you, did it?
No, actually, she put the fear of God in me. I learned to trust Jesus. I learned how to pray. All kidding aside.
Disciplines and all that our grandmothers put on.
Oh, absolutely. Put that rod on that backside.
We've gotten it out of the way. We call it old school. We call it just old fashioned and all that. And now you look at us, we buck wild and crazy because we've gotten rid of a lot of that good stuff. Grandma may not have knew the world, but she knew how to build a human being.
Yeah, she did. She understood what it took to live. And I'm going to tell you, I met a lot of visionaries as a child because the people that I knew in my neighborhood, they were businessmen and women. They owned their own companies. It may not have been a big company, but they owned their bus lines. They owned their beauty shops. They owned their bread. They knew what to do. They knew how to function. If it wasn't money, they would barter. They would pull together in order to do it. And that comes along with having an understanding. And that's something that's I'm not taking anything away from your book, Brother Thaddeus. Your book is excellent. I'm just saying that the only other component I would add to that is, as Rodney King would say after he got that beating, can't we just get along? Can't we just... After they beat that poor man.
I say
But
we can get along much better when we have become truly educated on our
exactly.
Okay.
That came with an understanding.
Garbage out here. Like they are so afraid of an educated black man or woman. They're so afraid of an armed black man or woman. But you got to keep one thing in mind, and I think about this all the time. These people that founded the United States of America went to war against Great Britain over taxation of tea. And much more than taxation.
It still was about the dollar. It was all about the dollar. It wasn't about the tea. It was about the money. It's the money. Follow the trail.
Went to war.
Yeah.
To war against Great Britain. And they defeated Great Britain and they got their own independence. Now they're the #1 allies of each other. So what I say in the name of unity, just because a black man gets himself together and start to think right and start to act right and start to be upright doesn't mean, and there may be some rough patches until we get to that point, but it don't mean that we have to be enemies.
Okay.
My hope as a black man should not be any threat.
Okay.
Any threat.
So we're reviving. Yeah, they used to have finishing schools for young ladies. They, would teach you not only etiquette, they would teach you, how to act in society in the I would say between middle to upper class echelon. They have the cotillion balls and things of that nature, and it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. Some rituals we had, I really believe we need to rebuild that, but it's not the norm. So that's why I said communication was the key, and I love what you just said about that. But how would we go about now? This is my question to you. Can you market this where you could do conferences?
Oh, absolutely. I'm open to do conferences. I'm not.
Do not quote any money, value, please.
I'm not in the mood right now to travel as much as I did when I wrote my first book. I was all over the country, hotel to hotel to hotel.
You don't have to do that. You can Skype.
You can with technology, you got it all. But
or train others, or mentor others.
Or train others, absolutely.
And I think that's the point.
Mentor others.
Yeah, that's the point that I really see, that I can really see you fulfilling that niche. That niche right there, to train others to go out. A general doesn't have to go out. They just give the orders.
Absolutely.
You understand? You ain't got to wear and tear your body out. But I think it would be something. I just
thought of one thing.
What's that?
That you just mentioned a little while back. And where do we start?
We
got to start with the personal transformation.
That's good.
It's all about it, in and out. My grandson, who is a freshman out in the University of Nevada at Las Vegas.
We got 1 minute. I need you to wrap it up a little bit. We got one more minute.
Okay. But this is an important point. He was playing basketball in Chicago before he left, and he was telling some of the guys he was about to go off to college, and some of the guys told him, N-words, real N-words, don't do college.
Ain't that about nothing?
Ain't that about nothing? And that's the language that I'm attacking in this book.
And you should.
The mindset that I'm dealing with in this book. And I'm trying to transform that by renewing our minds. Our minds need to be renewed.
Of course.
Our minds.
Like I said, little Johnny, I ain't worried about little Johnny right now. This is what's happening in this house.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, I could talk to you all day. I really, truly enjoyed you. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, Brother Thaddeus. I really am. And I will text you my P.O. box, because I can't wait to get my autographed copy of this book so I can read it for myself. And we will pick this up again. Best regards to your family. God bless you and keep you. That is my prayer. And thank you so much, Brother Thaddeus. Again, give me the title of the book.
The title of the book is A Well-Made Man, by
Thaddeus Shaw. Until the next time, my brother, God bless you.
God bless you too, and thank you for having me on the call. It was fun.
It was. Bye-bye. That was Brother Thaddeus Shaw with A Well-Made Man. He makes some excellent points in his book in regard to self-improvement, not only for the black man, and I do understand why he targeted but this is for everybody. This book is not exclusive. It's inclusive for the human being, period. This is Pastor Sadie Thompson, co-pastor of He Is Risen World Outreach Ministries, located in the beautiful city of Lafayette, Louisiana. Now listen, You saw me today, but you're going to have a special treat. I need you to come back Monday at 11 a.m. and reach out and touch Rise Again. We're going to have an exciting show. I was so happy to be here with you, and I need you to have a blessed rest of the week. And remember, Jesus Christ is Lord, and he loves you too. Bye, Mama. Mwah.